Hi, fatigued friends! Some of you have been asking me serious questions about my experience with CFS, so I thought that I would create a different playlist on this channel devoted to answering those types of questions and kind of dealing with the more serious aspects of this condition. If you're not interested, or if you are a healthy person watching this channel for fun, that's totally fine. Just stick to the more comedic videos. In the first part of this video, I'm going to tell you about my story and how I got diagnosed. And in the second part of the video, I'm going to tell you about the treatment that I've received and the medication that I'm on. So basically, the story goes like this. In the fall of 2016, I had written half of a dissertation, and the plan was to spend the spring of 2017 writing the other half and getting her done. December 31st, 2016, I am celebrating New Year's with my family, and January 1st, 2017, I can't get out of bed. I can't walk, I can't sit up, I can't open my eyes. So it's extremely acute onset, kind of leaving no doubt as to the fact that something is very wrong. When I do force myself to open my eyes and try to work and try to look at the chapters that I had already written, it's like they're written in another language or by a different person. I can't understand anything. And these were my ideas and my words just a few weeks before, and now they seem way beyond the range of what I'm intellectually capable of grasping. So I'm worried. I get taken to my doctor, my primary care doctor, my general practitioner, and she runs a really simple blood test, just checking me for vitamins, minerals, is my thyroid happy, that kind of thing. They all come back great. I have all my vitamins, all my minerals, and my thyroid is doing its job. When I ask her, okay, so what do you think it is? Her response is, it must be chronic fatigue syndrome. When I ask her what we could do to treat chronic fatigue syndrome, she says there is nothing you can do. So I go home, I look up chronic fatigue syndrome, and immediately I decide, no, I want any other diagnosis. This is the worst possible diagnosis. I really, really don't want it. What else can it possibly be? So I started doing my own research on exclusionary diagnoses. I find all of the other things that a doctor who does know about CFS is supposed to have checked out, and I spent the next several months going from doctor to doctor, going to neurologists, endocrinologists, gynecologists, infection specialists, just everyone under the sun, asking them to do these tests that I found. Can you please run tests XYZ? They all come back fine, and every single doctor that I go to when I mention CFS says that it's not real and that what I have is probably depression. Eventually, I concede and I go back to my GP and I say, okay, fine, you were right. It is chronic fatigue syndrome. Here are a bunch of articles that I found on possible treatments. Would you like to take a look at them? I've highlighted all the relevant parts. Here are the things that I think we should do. So at this point, I realized that when my GP said that I have chronic fatigue syndrome, what she meant to say was I have depression or psychosomatic fatigue, because it turns out that my GP does not believe that chronic fatigue syndrome is an organic disease. She's unwilling to read any of the peer-reviewed articles that I found for her from medical journals. She's unwilling to look into it at all. She just writes me a nice referral to a psychiatrist and asks me to leave her office. So at this point, I am devastated. I can't find any doctor to take me seriously. This is going to sound very, very familiar to many of you. I try looking up CFS specialists in any kind of traveling distance, New York City or thereabouts. And I find that there are chronic fatigue specialists in New York, but none of them take my health insurance. And in fact, most of them don't take any health insurance whatsoever. And in some ways, I can understand this because without a biomarker, it's very difficult to prove to an insurance company that the patient is sick and that they require your care and that they require the medication that you're giving them. But what I don't understand is why these CFS specialists are charging $1,500 per appointment, some hundreds of dollars per phone call, even just to discuss your test results. They sometimes charge for any time that they spend thinking about your case or researching your case outside of your appointment. This basically would add up to thousands and thousands of dollars in order to see a specialist. Luckily for me, in July, I do find a doctor whose name is Susan Levine. Even though she does not accept my insurance, her rates are much more reasonable. She turns out to be the first doctor to actually take me seriously. She takes some blood work and she sees that I have antibodies for Epstein-Barr virus, or EBV, and also for HHV6. So here we go into the second part of my video, which is going to deal with treatment. The treatment that she puts me on is an antiviral for EBV called Valtrex. I found that some doctors don't believe that Valtrex is the appropriate treatment for EBV, but since they don't have any experience with CFS, I think, okay, I'm just going to stick to the advice of my specialist. The other thing that she gives me is LDN. So I started this treatment late July. By August, there is significant improvement. I'm able to sit up and keep my eyes open for most of the day. I can see that I have more strength and more energy for virtually every aspect of my life. I'm able to start this channel in August, so I'm able to start creating videos. So there's definitely an improvement. I do want to stress that neither of these medications is a cure. I'm very far from being healthy. I'm very far from where I was before I got sick. I don't want to give anyone false hope with them. The other thing that I want to emphasize is that Dr. Susan Levine had me understand that I'm very lucky that I made it in there within 7 months. I don't think that my story is going to be applicable to those of you who have had this for 10, 20, 30 years. I just happened to really luck out with the fact that my GP said the words chronic fatigue syndrome when what she meant to say was psychosomatic fatigue or depression or stress, right? Because that's what she was really thinking was going on. But she happened to utter the words chronic fatigue syndrome, and that started me down this path to figuring out that that is in fact what I have, and finding a doctor that specializes in it. If she hadn't said those words, I don't know how long it would have been before I realized what my diagnosis actually is. There's one other treatment that she put me on called Valicite. And that's an antiviral that treats HHV6. When I tried it, it really didn't take. For me personally, it just made all of my symptoms so much worse, and it added new symptoms. And so she said that I didn't have to continue taking it because it was just, I was having such a bad reaction to it. So basically, if you are in a country where you don't have a CFS specialist, or you're in a situation where you can't afford to see one, the things that you might get from this video are asking your doctor to test you for Epstein-Barr virus and HHV6 and see if you can go on Valtrex and Valcite to treat them, but with the understanding that these antivirals are most likely to work very early on and not if you've been sick for a long time. The other thing is LDN. It's very difficult to get a prescription for it from someone who's not a CFS specialist or an autoimmune specialist. So with that, it might be a little bit more tricky. One of the reasons that I decided to make this video is I got a comment from someone saying, wow, you can sit up and make videos and I can't even take a picture of myself. I feel like such a loser by comparison. And I thought, oh my God, no, I have to shut that down right now. Before I got on antivirals and LDN, I would not have been able to start this channel. I wouldn't have been even close to the level of mental functioning that I am now. I've just been in a position where I'm really extremely lucky to have heard the word chronic fatigue syndrome so early into getting sick and being able to find a doctor who supports me within 7 months of getting sick. So that is my story. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I wish you all so much healing, and until then, I'll just keep making videos to try and cheer you up. Thanks for watching. Bye!